product that we've built helps you identify down to the wire in terms of competency of the individual on all these three and any other competency that you may have without human bias. Then you're able to move in that direction because you get a 48 purely through a video input. You get a 48 attribute personality report about yourself. And those building blocks mean, so collaboration could mean trust plus low on prone to worry plus high on adventurism. That's your definition, fine. But then the machine will start learning that these are the kind of people you're hiring. And that's possible. So it's no longer Sheebu's word versus GP's word. It is who I am. And it's built on psycho-linguistic, not psychometric. Sorry, I took a few seconds more.
Great, I think, so two things what I'm hearing you say is, one, alternate workforce models. So I'll hire permanent may not necessarily be the solution. So alternate workforce models is something. And then learnability, I completely agree with you because that's something that we really need to watch out for in terms of, so the fungibility from one skill to another becomes extremely important. Great, thank you for your insights. So let me come back to you, Sheebu. I mean, we are in the space of learning and development. G always gets quoted as the epitome when it comes to developing leaders internally, right? Got quoted, and there's been enough conversation around that. So we are really lucky to have you here, and we would want to learn from your personal experiences. So tell us certain things that you as a professional have tried in different businesses, things that may have worked, things that may have not worked, and give us your learnings from initiatives that you have designed, implemented in your organization to prepare leaders for the future, and things that have worked, things that have not worked, and what have been your learnings from them. So if you can make it more personal and your own examples, I think we'll all be very interested to hear.
Sure. So I'll try. And you set the bar high by bringing in all of G into this. let me just pick the most recent one. And why I picked that is, we all just driving into the center. You see what are the skills you need. So you'll see all hoardings around data sciences, robotics, machine learning, UI, UX, everything. Additive is the only thing I didn't see, which I thought was missing and should be there. But everything else you see in the hoardings. Those, and I'm not saying it's easy, but those are clearly defined skills. And if you look at how do you get people there, either through buy or build, or buy till you build, or vice versa, you'll get that sorted.
Every organization's reality would be very different.
Yeah, but fact is that those are things which are so well defined that you will get to it depending on your context. I would actually pick on what Ketan was talking about in terms of the whole thing around learnability, flexibility, and collaboration. Now, when that is your workforce, the whole idea of how a people leader is and how your entire leadership team is also needs to be different. You can't just look at a workforce changing and have the same structures, the same way people are leading each other over there. So one of the things that we very recently did was Inspire. And what we done there with the people leaders was create a safe space for them, where they can talk about, because a lot of them say, and it's standard terminology, I'm sure, I hope in other companies also, but in GE a lot of times it is, this is changing. If you have any questions, go talk to your people leader. The people leader is like, I am reading this along with you, you've given me this deck, you're walking me through this, but it's not as if I understand the entire thing clearly, and can I ask all these questions? Because I also, as a people leader, am usually torn between paradoxes. So, there's this thing that, what do I do at an individual level? What do I do at an organizational level? How will I get seen? So they have their enough paradoxes they deal with. So how do we create that safe space for them? And one big learning on this was, how do you co-create it with them? So normally, we go as G and we say that, I know how to do leadership programs, so this is what I've designed. What we did in this case is we picked up best people leaders, and we actually had the first session with them saying that if we want to make our people leaders, equip them to be more inspirational, what do they need to do? Because they have a flexible workforce, they will really need a very agile way of doing things. How do we equip them better? And we co-created the sessions with them, which was in a very meet-up format, which wasn't totally.
Could you give us some examples in terms of what the session really, what was the entire journey like?
Yeah, sure. So, the journey was actually interesting because there is pre-work to a session. So what we made people leaders do is they went to employees who were not people who reported to them. And they went and asked them, what is the one thing you expect your people leader to do? In these kind of scenarios where the people leaders conflicted between this and this, what would be a good outcome which you would think is acceptable to you? So we had many scenarios which we got from employees. So there was a lot of where employees were talking about what they go through, and a good people leader did this, a bad people leader did that, kind of a thing, which was very eye-opening for the people leader, because usually when you hear from your own team, you're fairly defensive. You were hearing for someone else, and there was a lot of empathy to what was happening. And when they came together, they had a lot of stories to swap, which now they're not feeling personally attacked. They felt like it's something we can solve together. And then these 10 people co-created this program. They ran the whole thing. They were the ambassadors. So they were not just people leaders equipping other people leaders. They became the ambassadors for the organization. They almost became the culture shapers that we needed. They actually, on their own, they did some 40 such rollouts through last year. And this year, they actually want to talk about future of work. And if somebody from Deloitte is here, they want to talk about future of work, future of workforce, and hence, what is the future of leadership? And that's something they've come up on their own. For me, the thing I learned was they did a much better job than I would have done. Because they had a much better understanding of what was needed on the ground and their own situations, which made sense for them. So it was very humbling an exercise for me to go through.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll pick up on your point that probably they did a better job than you would probably have done. And this is a very interesting thing about, when the business gets involved in terms of designing learning intervention. So, Mr. Rao, let me pick up your thoughts on this one. What has been your experience, and what's been the dialogue between HR and senior leadership, and especially in a traditional old economy company, various manufacturing companies that you have worked? I'll give you my own personal example. We do a lot of leadership development. I've spent 9 years with Right Management, and my own experience is that the number of conversations in which the business gets involved with us now has gone a sea change on the positive side, right? And that's a great shift that I personally have seen. Initially, if out of the 100 interventions that we would have rolled out, probably only 20% the business got involved, and rest it was all left to HR, right, to design, implement, and they had to be brutally honest, limited outcomes. Now, probably it is 60-40, 60% of those interventions the business involved, and hence we have seen better outcomes of those interventions. In your experience, what has been the dialogue between HR and business? Where has there been agreement? Where has there been conflict? Is it around money, design, implementation, involvement? When you are looking at future, because it's nice, business will always come and say, give me talent which is ready to deliver. Right? But do they get involved? Where exactly? What is the conversation that happens? Where's the agreement? Where's the conflict?
First I will want to clear a myth that workers are not loyal to the company. HR does not understand business, and business manager have no heart. Actually, this is a myth. The reverse may be true. So this is one great experience I got. There are many line managers are very hearty, very people oriented, and the reverse. So I will give you two examples. How a business leadership drives an HR intervention, how successful it is. It's a small unit, Vikrant tire plant in Mysore. We reduced the levels of reporting from 7 to 3. And small changes like nobody will use a pen once he enters into the factory. You cannot use a pen. That means you will have to learn how to use a computer, how to use a mobile. Send a note, send a feedback, Send a report, send an application, seek a comment, seek a feedback. That gave the small change, reduced the hierarchy, reduced paperwork, improved interactivity, brought in speed in decision making, and the 7 levels to 3 levels, when it was driven by the business leaders, we got 38% reduction in the overall manpower. And one last thing I told you, we wanted automation, we wanted multi-skilling, we wanted new way of working with this reduced manpower that needed a lot of training of these 62% of people. And some of these 38% people had those rare skills. The whole change management went in such a manner that these 38% people who are declared surplus, they acted as internal trainers for 6 weeks. They trained the people who stayed back. So it's possible. Now I'll tell you a reverse story. A big thing, a 360 using high technology, it was implemented badly and we lost a unit head. So it's not the big thing or the small thing. It's not a high technology or low technology. It is when the business and HR have got conversation, they have a common purpose, they spend a lot of time in preparation, they spend a lot of time on predicting what can go wrong, and they can work together, wonders will happen. So these are the two stories, one success, one failure, which I have personally handled, monitored and taken credit and discredit.
Excellent. Let me take a pause here and let me come to the audience, and in case anybody has a question at this point of time that you would want to ask any of the panelists, happy to take those questions. Any show of hands? Anybody has any questions to any of the panelists? Okay. Either we have done an extremely good job explaining or probably, yeah? Okay, great. So let me come back, and this probably would be the closing question, and I would want to ask this question, Sheebu, to you and to Ketan. And there's a reason why I'm asking this question. You go and sell technology, so you're the service provider and you are the consumer, right? So you're on the two sides of the table, so to say. So let me ask you, both of you, in terms of, because technology per se, and when we are talking about future-ready workforce and using technology from a design perspective in our talent management solutions, technology can be very sexy per se. You attend these forums and then you come across a lot of technology and it may sound very nice to pick up and implement. But you need to be smart. That is something that we all understand. So what would be your tip when people are using technology for their talent management solutions with the ultimate objective of developing a future-ready workforce? What would be your tip to organizations when they are on this path? You as a service provider, you as a consumer. What is that one smart thing that they need to watch out for when they are in this journey?
May I go? So, I categorize leaders into 3 buckets. The first are people who are tech enthusiasts and they know nothing about change management. We hate them. We do a survey, we don't go to them. We don't waste our time, money, petrol, parking, we don't waste. The second kind of leaders are people who are tech evangelists, but they don't know change management well. They'll open their house, they'll say, let's co-manage the change. There are certain nimble nuances in the organization. They want to soft pedal some, hard pedal some, and they help you do that. Sometimes you become the conduit. We like them. And then there are certain leaders who are tech evangelists and they know everything about change management. Either they'll be very autocratic or they will be very democratic, but they will make sure it happens. We love these guys. So to answer your question, I think what is critical in an organization is why you're doing what you're doing. Don't do things because it's sexy. Oh, I want to buy a 4matic. No problem, buy a 4matic. But know why you're buying what you're buying. So technology today is available on a tap. Try it, use it for the use case that you are there. Wherever you can make transactions redundant, do that, and let your people be available for relationships. Because machines can't, will not be able to manage relationships, and in the next 10 years, we will see a huge requirement of human counselors, because our race will go into depression because of technology. Suddenly we will not know what to do because the transactions have gone away, and we feel that relationship, this is not solid, this is not what we learned in school, this wasn't a skill, but that is the core skill that is going to come to the forefront.
Interesting that, I anyway felt it was not two sides of the table, but from the response also you realize it's not two sides of the table. I have the advantage of being in a very technology intensive organization. So just like what a customer would expect from us as a technology company is what I expect from Ketan as a technology company, that what is the problem, what is the business problem you're solving for us? And sometimes you know the business problem and you're articulating it and the technology company comes and solves it. Sometimes you're not aware of the business problem, but the technology company has a disruptive technology and they come and talk to you about it, and it creates that aha moment for you when you realize that, okay, that's probably where it is. Where I've seen it really work well is, one, of course, when you're solving a real problem. And two, technology comes in very handy in addition to what Ketan was saying about, if you have these transactions and you get them out, when you're looking at scalability and sustainability of something, where you can then invest the additional time that got freed up into something which is more high touch. So if you have something and you want to scale it up, technology is amazing in how it can help you do that. Or when you want to sustain it, where there isn't that intensive program management required on something, that's another piece where it can really come in. But the overarching theme is, if there is a real problem to solve, that's when the real value is felt.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much for your insights. Let me go back to the audience in case anybody has any questions. We'll be happy to take that. Else, thank you so much. Anybody, any questions? Great. Thank you so much for your insights. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.